I'm now ready to put on my profile. Everywhere that I've studied or worked has had the same principle, that you start off a portrait with getting the profile right. Up until this point, run you through how to get the structure of the head working so that I've got a solid shape. And I've shown you to keep drawing that central line, so that's where your profile is going to go onto. My first measurement that I'm going to do is chin to hairline, so that I know that it's this space that I've got to fit in my profile of the face. Really important to stand back when you're blocking out your profile, because that's how you don't get any distortions. So I'm looking at my sculpture, looking at my model, and my first thing I'm going to check is that bony point of the chin and the hairline, what that relationship is, the angle. And I'm just going to compare it from my model to my sculpt. And I've marked on where those things are with a line, as I showed you. So I'm just checking that I've got that overall angle right before I now build out my profile. When you're searching for the profile, some things to bear in mind are this area under the nose is usually further forward in space than the chin, so you end up with that kind of an angle from the chin to underneath the nose. Search for that angle between the chin and the nose. What is that relationship? Don't have everything too flat. Then look at that angle of the nose. How does that compare with the angle of the forehead? Look at how the nose goes in, and then you have a flat bit going up onto the brow, and then it goes back again. And then you usually tuck in a little bit more again before you get to your hairline. I'm going to just start off getting the chin the right shape. That mark there is the bony point, but the actual flesh of the chin comes out further than that. And then I'm going to not worry too much about the lip shape to begin with. I'm just going to build out that kind of muzzle curve out to that point that I said is further forward in space underneath the nose. I'm going to look at where that nose comes, somewhere like that. Every decision that I'm making from standing back. This is where it's really handy having a plain wall behind, because you don't get distracted by anything. And just try and keep the whole thing moving, don't just do one tiny bit at a time, because it's the overall shape that you're trying to look at all the time. Sometimes it's helpful to just have a look at that chin to bridge of nose and just see if you're in the right ballpark for where that change of plane happens from the nose up to the brow before it cuts back. Another thing that's really useful to look at is that relationship between where that point at the bottom of the nose is and where that plane change is there, because it's often further back in space, the top of the nose, front of the brow, than that point where the front of the lip is. It's good to take a bit of time over getting your profile right, but bear in mind everything's open to change all the time, and little changes do happen all the time, but as long as you feel confident that the big points are in the right places, then it's quite good to move on.